News just dropped. Well, it's not really news, but it's like news because we already knew Caitlin Clark wasn't going to basically play for the rematch of versus the New York Liberty, and it is a gut punch, but she is officially out for the big game against the New York Liberty game that took place today, and it was a 98-84 loss. Indiana Fever had 84. New York Liberty had 98. But for the second straight game, the Fever superstar, the engine of their offense and the face of the league, will be on the sidelines with a nagging groin injury. And this is a tough blow for a team trying to prove it belongs with the WNBA's elite. And the last time Indiana faced the Liberty, the last game from today, without Clark, it was a rough one, and it was 98-77 beatdown. That just proved just how critical she is in everything they do. Will they have a playoff seat? Yes. But while the headlines are focused on the injury, the real story, the one that could shift the entire balance of the WNBA, might be happening behind the scenes. And while Caitlin Clark is forced to sit, she could be making her biggest move yet. So forget the on the court assist for a minute, because whispers are tuning into roars that Clark is playing GM or general manager, orchestrating an off court play to recruit New York's own superstar Sabrina Ionescu to join her in Indiana. Let's be clear, you can't sugarcoat how damaging this is right now. This isn't just one game. This will be the 11th regular season game Clark has missed this year, and she's battled a quad strain and now this recurring groin issue that just won't let up for a player who was an Iron Woman in college at Iowa. And this has been a frustrating season of stops and starts, and it's happening at the worst possible time. The Fever are fighting to finally break their playoff drought, which has been going on since 2016. With Clark, they look like a team that could hang with anyone. Without her, they struggle to find an identity. And we saw it on full display on July 16th against this same Liberty squad. The offense looked lost, the energy was zapped, and the Clark effect, that special buzz that lifts the entire team, was gone. And it's not just about wins and losses, it's about the financial impact too, because last season a FIBA Liberty game fueled by Clark's star power set a WNBA record with over $2 million in gate revenue. Her absence isn't just felt on the court, it's felt in the stands, in the league by itself. And under head coach Stephanie White, the team has shown an incredible fight trying to build around Clark and Aaliyah Boston to get their franchise back this postseason. And with Caitlin Clark being out, there is word, and I have seen from multiple sources, that John Quill Jones will be returning as a replacement. But there's only so much a coach can do when their generational talent is in street clothes. Clark's stats tell a huge part of the story. She's averaging 16.5 points, 5 rebounds, and an incredible 8.8 assists per game. And you don't just replace those numbers. That's your primary scorer and playmaker gone. And this game is against the Liberty was supposed to be another measuring stick against the champs. Instead, it's a brutal reminder of how much this turnaround depends on the health of number 22. And while the team is dealing with the on-court crisis, this is where the story gets juicy, because if you look at it, um, in this article, which we'll get to in a minute, and I wanted to show you guys the article of her being out, which they were talking about. Um, she was basically it happens happening in the DMs at All Star games and right out in the open on social media. That's exactly what fans are pointing to, because the speculation exploded after the WNBA All Star game, which has held which was held right in Indiana's Fever home arena. Sabrina Ionescu posted a photo gallery on Instagram, and one picture stood out: her and Caitlin Clark sitting side by side in the Indiana Fever locker room. But it was Clark's comment on that post that sent the WNBA world into a frenzy with just 6 words: "Looking real natural in that locker room." That was in Caitlin Clark's words in the comments. So was it just a lighthearted joke between friends? Maybe, but in a league where players are more empowered than ever to team up, nothing is just a comment. Fans, and you can bet front offices read between the lines. Clark is savvy. She knows the power she has, not just with basketball, but with her brand and her relationships. And she knows that Sabrina Ionescu, a four-time All-Star and one of the most dynamic guards in the world, becomes an unrestricted free agent after the 2025 season. And that wasn't just a comment, it was a seed, a public yet subtle pitch that says, hey, imagine this, imagine us together right here. So when you look at it, looking at this article, it says Caitlin Clark made a smart recruiting pitch to WNBA All Star who's about to be a free agent. And then it goes down to say Caitlin Clark had to sit out the WNBA All Star game this past weekend due to her groin injury. We talked about that. While Clark roasted Kelsey Plum with a 6-word message on Instagram, she had a powerful message for New York Liberty guard Sabrina Ionescu, the 4-time All Star and 3-time All WNBA selection, will become an unrestricted free agent this offseason. And this was the post after the All Star game. Ionescu posted a photo on Instagram of her sitting with Caitlin Clark in the locker room, which serves as the Fever home during the season. And this was the comment that set everybody into a frenzy, as you guys can see. This is them chilling. Boom. That's Caitlin Clark liking it, and then that's her comment. So, if you look at Sabrina Ionescu's stats, right? Currently, she sits at 18.7 points, 5.5 assists, and you see it from there. So, I'll show this because let's take a minute to imagine for a second why this idea is exciting. And why would Sabrina even think about leaving a super team she built in New York? And it really comes down to two things: basketball, fit, and legacy. First, the on court fit is unreal right now. The Fever's other backcourt star is the talented and loyal Kelsey Mitchell, as we know. And Mitchell is a fantastic scorer and a three all star, but 3-time All Star. But she's also set to be a free agent after 2025 and will want a big contract. And a tough question for the Fever front office will be, is she the perfect long-term partner for Clark? Now, think about Sabrina Ionescu. She's 5'11". She's bigger than Mitchell and a more versatile playmaker. While both can score, Ionescu is a walking triple-double because of her elite rebounding and court vision. And she also doesn't need the ball to be a threat. She's a deadly spot-up shooter who can thrive playing off a primary ball handler. And imagine an offense where Caitlin Clark brings up the ball, drawing 2 defenders like she always does, and can either hit Aaliyah Boston in the post or kick it out to Sabrina Ionescu on the wing for an open 3, and it would be a defensive nightmare. And you couldn't double team anyone because the spacing would be unlike anything the league has ever seen. And this wouldn't be just be an upgrade, no disrespect to Kelsey Mitchell. It would be a revolution because you'll have 2 of the most smartest players in the world in your backcourt, both able to drop 30 points or 10 assists on any night. And the marketing potential would be insane. It would be like the Splash Sisters, as fans are already calling them, and would create a media storm and launch the Clark effect into a new stratosphere. And Kelsey Mitchell, when it comes to her contract and how much she's getting now, uh, she has a 1-year supermax contract with the Indiana Fever, which is worth $249,244. And then you have Sabrina Ionescu. She's a 2-year contract extension with the New York Liberty, and the deal is reportedly worth $410,060. So with an average annual salary of $205,030, right? So this confirms just off the money and the value they were ready to give number wise, because numbers don't lie. Who gives more value? But what do you think? Am I reading way too much in this Instagram comment, or is it Clark playing 4D chess while she's on the injured list? Is a Clark and Ionescu backcourt the absolute dream for the Indiana Fever? And let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you're liking this breakdown, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more WNBA talk. Okay, so before we start planning the championship parade in Indianapolis, let's pump the brakes a little on getting Sabrina Ionescu to Indiana. It's obviously not going to be easy. There are major hurdles, and the biggest one is her contract. Signed a 2-year extension with the Liberty that keeps her in New York through the 2025 season. The Liberty didn't just sign her, but they built the entire championship caliber roster around her, Breonna Stewart and John Kill Jones. Well, no, Breonna Stewart, basically, not John Kill Jones. And they see her as a cornerstone. They won't let her go without a massive fight. So even when she becomes a free agent after 2025, it's complicated because at 27 years old and in her prime, Ionescu will command a supermax contract plus a new collective bargaining agreement is on the horizon, which will likely make salary spike even higher. And the Fever do have a huge advantage with Clark and Boston on the team friendly rookie contracts for a few more years, which give them cap flexibility. But they'll still have to make tough decisions. Can they afford two supermax players in their backcourt? Signing Ionescu almost certainly means letting Kelsey Mitchell walk, which would be a painful move given everything she's done for the franchise. And let's be real, Ionescu has given zero public signs that she wants to leave New York. She helped build that winning culture. Leaving a ready-made title contender for a team that's still on the rise is a gamble. It would take one heck of a sales pitch from Clark and the belief that they could build a dynasty in Indiana that would be even bigger than what she has in New York. And it's not impossible, but it's a huge mountain to climb. But let's push the obstacles aside for a minute and just dream. So let's paint the picture of what this team could be if this wild fantasy became a reality in 2026. The Indiana Fever wouldn't just be a playoff team, they would immediately become the hands down favorite to win the WNBA championship. And not just for 1 year, but for the next 5 to 7 years. And imagine the starting five: Caitlin Clark at the one, Sabrina Ionescu at the two, Nalisha Smith at the three, and Aaliyah Boston at the five, surrounded by shooters and defenders. And that's a lineup with no weaknesses. You're talking about a core of three number one overall picks in Clark, Ionescu, and Boston, all 27 or younger, hitting their primes together, and that is a dynasty in the making. And the playbook would be absolutely insane. And the Clark to Boston connection is already dangerous in itself. Now, add an SQ to the mix, the pick and roll options would be endless. The fast breaks would be unstoppable. The 3-point shooting would shatter records. The Fever wouldn't just win. They would do it with a style that would captivate the entire sports world, in my opinion. And this move would be about more than just basketball. It would make Indianapolis the new center of the WNBA universe, as I feel like it's already the epicenter of the WNBA world as it is today. And it would signal a massive power shift in the league from the super team in New York to a new, younger, and even more dynamic super team in the heartland. And for a franchise that has been rebuilding for the better part of a decade, it would be the ultimate payoff. And it would be the reward for landing back to back number one picks, turning that luck into something truly historic. And this is the vision, this is the dream that a simple 6-word Instagram comment has kicked off. So, as the Indiana Fever get ready to face the Liberty without Caitlin Clark, the short term outlook is tough. They're up against a powerhouse without their best player, but the long term view, the one filled with what ifs and spicy rumors, is more exciting than ever. And Clark's comments or comment to Ionescu might have been nothing more than just a joke, right? But it also might have the first shot fired in recruiting or in a recruiting battle that could define the next era of the WNBA. It just goes to show that even when Caitlin Clark is injured, she's still the biggest story in sports, and obviously her name can sway the market, or I should say the player market, when it comes to recruiting and dumping players off that are no longer with other teams and trading individuals and stuff like that. And the road to making this happen is full of roadblocks, from contracts to cap space. But the vision of a Clark Ionescu Boston trio is so powerful, so tantalizing, that you can't help but wonder if they can actually put it off. And I think that the WNBA will actually be more valuable, or actually get a return on its investment, or the NBA will get a return on its investment for funding this league that obviously can't pay for itself and not generate enough money. I think they need a super team. So I ask you this one last time. If you were the Fever's GM, would you go all in to make this happen? Would you be willing to be part be willing to part with a player like Kelsey Mitchell to create this potential dynasty? Drop your master plan in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.